something wrong. Welcome back to the Johnny Shield Detailing YouTube Q&A. Welcome back to the Johnny Shield live Q&A, and this is around the garage roper products. As we know, the House of Rags has just launched their final restock. Welcome back to the Johnny Shield YouTube live, and as we know that the Johnny Shield is even live. Welcome back to the Johnny Shield welcome to the Johnny Shield Detailing YouTube. See who's on here. Humberto, how you doing? Welcome to the Johnny Shield live Q&A. And Humberto's already in the chat. How are you doing, Humberto? Let's see if anyone comes on tonight. Just thought I'd jump on, seeing as the House of Rags has done a little live Q&A on, or a live podcast on the total restock of Gary's therapy products. So I thought, why not jump on, see who's about, see what's going on, and see if there's any questions and what people want to talk about in the chat. So I'll be interested to find out what your questions are. And we'll see exactly if I can answer them and get you the right information that you need for when you're purchasing something from the House of Rags. Let's find out what we can do. If you guys fancy coming on to the channel, I'm going to leave a little link in the chat section so you guys can actually have a look and actually come on and have a chat. So you can hit the link, and if you've got a phone or whatever you've got, you can come on and ask me any questions personally. So let me pin that up on the screen for you guys so you can actually check it out, and I'm here to answer any questions. So let me see if I can actually put the chats back on here. Let's get this on live stream chat. There we go. Oggy, oi. Yeah, nice one, mate. I can hear you. Still in Costa Rica working. Nice one, Humberto. I hope you're well, mate. This has been a long time, Humberto, since we've done this back in the day. So we'll see. If you can hear me loud and clear, that's great. Always checking me out. The kids are lovely, mate, but that will that can wait for another show. Let me see. What are you up to, Humberto? You can always tell me what you're up to. Let me see if I can share, add to the live and see what's going on. Share the link. Copy link. Let me see if I can put this in the chat. So, if I put this in the chat, Humberto, you might be able to come on. Hit that link, Humberto, and see if you want to come on, mate, and have a little chat. Talk about, you could be my co-host. You can ask me some questions on GT. Anyone who's got any questions, feel free to pop them on the... There we go. There's the link on there. You can use it whenever you want. Workers is that? Awesome, mate. Yes, workers is saying that. We'll be back on home on the 26th. Nice starts, mate. Who else is in the chat tonight? Who else is in the chat? Chris. Hello, Chris. How you doing, buddy? Always, when I speak to you guys, I'm still getting to know who's who on my YouTube channel. So, interesting to find out who is who, what is what, and can't join since I'm in a data center. So, I wanted to do a little live Q&A. Obviously, I've seen some of the stuff on Thor today when they've done their little GT restock. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. That was a lot of hard work to put that together. And I want to say a massive thank you to all the creators that are involved and the GT pros for sending in their data. We've got a nice, funny one to go up as well from Miranda Detailing, which would be quite good. So get your questions in. Oh, living the dream. Yeah, we're all living the dream, Chris. You only live once, mate, so this is the dream. We're lucky enough to be here, aren't we? That sounds really positive, isn't it, today? That's one thing I love about the American crowd is how positive you are. Absolutely fantastic. Let me know where you are as well in the chat. It'd be interesting to find out. But like I said, the GT restock has landed at Garage at the House of Rags. it's always landed at Garage Therapy because they have the products, right? And so let's have a little look through some of the products we've got, and I can share my screen. Bear with me, I'm not as efficient at this as the guys at the House of Rags. I'm still learning my way. But let's share this screen and see what we got and see what they've got actually in stock, shall we? Because we can go through this stuff. They've got the starter kit. So you've got like GT Citrus and a GT interior cleaner. I'm not sure what's completely in the starter kit. Should we click on that and see what's in there? Well, that is a bit of a starter kit. Unbelievable. Right, let's see what they've got. So in the starter kit for the House of Rags, they've got one dash serum, Citrus, car shampoo V3, Sigma V3. What a product that is, by the way. Unbelievable. They've got tyre serum and they've got interior cleaner. So that is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 products for how many dollars? $113. Wow. That's quite a good, that is a very good discount, to be honest with you. So what's that going to give you? So you've got yourself a nice little pre-wash. You can use a shampoo. So it's a pretty much a maintenance system, to be honest with you. Pretty much a maintenance system. So if you've got any questions, please ping them in. If you want to come on the live, then I've pinned the comment on the screen. So if you want to come in the live, feel free to jump in. You can come and say hello. You can come and ask me some questions. And hopefully maybe even answer some of your detailing problems, if that makes sense. So let's get back in here. Let's see what's going on. What have we got here? Gary's Therapy Starter Kit. Wow, that is incredible. So the new product that they've got out at the moment in America, they've just actually got Gary's Therapy 2 trim. And that's obviously starts from $19. I think the thing is, this is a product that I think so far in the UK has done exceptionally well. There's a lot of products out there in the market, which is I've already featured on my YouTube channel, which is Chemical Guys VRP, which is a really good product. You've also got Car Pro Pearl, which is obviously probably one of the most, if you're going to say about a silicone-based dressing for interior exterior tyres, I think Car Pro Pearl is probably one of those ones that everyone's got in their arsenal, a bit like Koch Chemie FSE. It's kind of like one of those household kind of names where they use stuff. And so it's an amazing product, and there's more content will be coming up very, very soon on this topic. But I will go with it. Let's get into this question. Does GT have a sampler kit like Car Pro and G-Technic does? Not right now, by the looks of it, mate. There's no sample kits. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. And I think on that kind of topic, what I would say is people don't realise that actually when it comes to GT, they don't actually know that it's only 2 people that actually run and own GT. So a lot of the work is done by just 2 men. And Maz is obviously full-time doing all this stuff. So getting all this stuff set up is actually where I come into it, basically doing a lot of the social media side of it for them, because they're just it's what I do every day. And so getting the content out to you guys, getting some information out there is why I speak to Maz on every single day basis. So no is the answer. Simple answer is no, there's no sample kits yet. But what I would say is for the price of a 500ml, it's not a bad stout. And so all these products were brought out individually one at a time, and so that makes a big difference to the user experience of these products, because that's exactly why I'm using the products. I don't really get into the hype side of hyping these products anymore, because I get a bit embarrassed actually, because each product performs exceptionally well. If someone brings you, let's bring this up, Chris, great shout. Let's bring this up on the stream, Chris. If someone brings you a decently maintained vehicle, what's your wash, decon, protect process? First of all, Chris, thanks for that question, Chris. I appreciate that. Also, I'd love to know, Chris, whereabouts you are in the world. It'd be great. What country you're in and what state will be amazing, so I can get a bit more of a picture. So Chris asks, if someone brings you a decently maintained vehicle, what's your decon protect process. So if someone brings me a decently maintained vehicle, so let's say they maintain it themselves, but looking for me to take over the maintenance, what would I do? Well, first of all, the inspection is the most important part. When you're running a business, every time a car enters your facility, you want to make sure you go through a process of obviously making notes of if there's any new marks on the vehicle, any new stains in the vehicle, and any paint missing off vehicle. The last thing you want, Chris, is a situation where if you are working as a detailer, that someone tries to pull a fast one on you and claim something off the back of something that happened. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if I'm doing a maintenance system and I'm using the garage therapy system, the great thing about the framework that is garage therapy is they have a couple of different products. So, for example, if I was to bring up Garage Therapy 1 Snow Foam, this is a really super versatile product, basically. And because you can see right here, it's in the maintenance range. And so it's the one range. So the blue is a really good example of maintenance. And so when you're maintaining a vehicle, you're going to be very, very happy with that kind of product. When you're using a decon process, then decon shampoo is king. This is the king product. And so decon is king, and you can use it in many, many dilution ratios to break down any dirt, grease and grime when you're trying to break down, do a process where it's decontaminating. What's my wash decon protect process? So what protection would I use would be down to the budget of the customer. When it's just, some customers just want actually, they don't want anything at all. Sometimes they don't want to spend that extra bit of money on protection. And so Garage Therapy Quick Detail is a great one for that purpose, where it's something that you can protect the vehicle. It's a nanochemistry, which works really, really well. If you want to spend a bit more time, you can use Sigma. And if they are paying for something a little bit more stout that's going to last a bit longer, then CS is a great little product. That's in there. There's the system when a framework works with 0, 1, 2. 2 is the standard protection system, and 3 is your ceramic coating system. So that's why you have CS in the 3 system, because it has an SiO2 material in it, basically, the SiO2 component to it, which makes it a 3 product. So Chris is from Minnesota, USA. Earth and the Milky Way. I love that, mate. Great shout. So protection process. One of the things that people don't speak about a lot with Garage Therapy is, and if people do like it, is waxes. Garage Therapy have a product called Alpha Wax. It has got a PTFE kind of component to it, so you get some excessive beading. It's a really, really stout product, but you know, just like all the other GT products, you really need to use not a lot at all. Don't go mad with it at all, mate. So one of the things we say at Garage Therapy a lot is decon is king. And so the reason why decon is king is because it's a process accelerator product, which means if you're doing a decon process, Chris, you would start with maybe using decon shampoo on a vehicle at 1 to 10. You can use that in a pump sprayer, you can use that in an IK sprayer, you can use that in a trigger sprayer. I recommend a really good little pro tip here is that actually if you decant out if you get a 1 litre from House of Rags, don't forget you can use the code OiOi10. So if you're looking for a bit of a discount, use the code OiOi10. I've got a code now at the House of Rags, which hopefully helps some of the people that watch my channel to get a bit of discount. You can get decon shampoo in a litre. You can decant the product out, and you can put a trigger in that, and it works fantastically well as your little trigger sprayer, which is great. And if you want to work out a 1 to 10, sometimes if people just want a simple answer, so a simple answer of 1 to 10 is a great pre-wash procedure, and you can put a little pencil mark on the side of the bottle, which is going to hopefully every time you want to fill it up, say you have to measure out, so you know how much to put in the bottle, then you can fill it up, which makes life a little bit quicker. A little bit of a cheating hack there, but it makes life a lot easier. 1 to 10 is really a great dilution ratio if you're starting to break down dirt, grease, and grime on the vehicle. And so then you can follow up with using Garage Therapy Zero Decon Shampoo in a foam lance. I would recommend using an MTM or the Active Foam Lance. They're two fantastic bits of kit. Yes, they're on the more pricier side, but you're definitely going to get your bang for your buck when it comes to that sort of stuff. And at the end of the day, this is detailing. So we spend our money wisely on good stuff, good products, because we want to be thorough and detailed and do the best job we possibly can. So those two cannons at the moment seem to be the front runners for me with using them with the Garage Therapy stuff. And so the best little pro tip I say with decon shampoo is to speed up the process. And I know if anyone's got the ability to have a pressure washer that actually can create hot pressure, hot water through their pressure washer, then that is going to really supercharge decon shampoo. Decon shampoo and hot water work phenomenal. That is a real power. That is what we call in GT God mode. That's amazing. But if you don't, you can actually warm up some hot water, put that in to your snow foam cannon, and I'd recommend a mixture of around 50 ml to 450 mils of water, or 900 mils to 100 mils of water, depending on what you are. I would say if you are running off a tap water situation, you're using tap water and you've got a very high TDS, then I'd say you'd have to do some little bit of testing with yourself to find out where your sweet spot is with the chemicals, because different types of chemicals obviously react differently to different minerals in the water, and different, just in different areas, different regions. So you have to work that one out. But you'll probably find if you put a little bit of warm water in the snow foam cannon, mix them two together, what that will also do as well, Chris, is break down the surfactants and break down the gels that are in decon shampoo, and that will mix and blend really well with the water. That's really consistent throughout the whole range. Wheel shampoo is really thick. Probably, if they're going to throw any criticism at wheel shampoo, it's probably it's too thick, if that makes sense. But those chelation agents, those rust inhibitors, those gels, it gives you an idea that it's a very nice, strong cleaning product. That's the byproduct of something. When you're creating something like that, that's what you need. And so if ever you use warm water with I always recommend to say using warm water to mix your chemicals down together, give them a good stir. You're definitely going to get a really, really good result when you're using them, rather than having a gel that's just been put into the liquid, giving it a bit of a shake, and sometimes it kind of congeals and it doesn't really mix. You want to really make sure you get the best ratios when it comes to the best mix. Mix it well when it comes to these setups. It's going to really pay off for the performance side of it as well. So decon shampoo is a great product. Then you can move into obviously using it in a bucket. 60 ml, 65 ml is a really strong dilution ratio for this. Depending on the different car, what you're trying to break down, you can use it in the bucket wash, which is why decon shampoo is called decon shampoo, because it can be used in a bucket. And so 2 bucket method, whatever you want to use, however you want to operate that, you're more than capable of doing that. And so do your wash process, and then obviously move on to whatever you want to do. If your customer is paying for just a wash and seal, then I would say whatever you do, and Larry from Ammo New York would back me up on this, is that you only really need to use a clay bar when you're going to be machine polishing. That's the sort of industry standard. I know people tend to have a lot of conversations online about certain things, but I think the industry standard would say don't clay bar a car unless you're going to machine polish, because you're going to be using friction on a vehicle, and friction isn't good for paint. It's going to key up the surface ready for machine polishing. It's going to extract and excrete the dirt out of the panel and the paint. So using that process, and so I would stick to a chemical decon, and then I would move into my next process, which would be a choice of some sort of regular protection, which would be QD or Sigma CS Alpha Wax. You could also, use, if you wanted to, you could actually use Chimera as a ceramic. Chimera is the top coat for garage therapy, which goes on top of Cerberus. It actually goes really, really well on all of their coatings as the top coat, but you can use it as a standalone, and it has actually got a really good content of ceramic in it as well. So it's a really good product. So if you're familiar with a product like Exo from G-Technic, then it's a similar topper, but don't get them confused, because they are very, very different. Like I said, so you'll probably end up getting about a year's worth of protection out of that. So there are obviously the waxes as well that you can use as well. So this is all down to the consultation with your customer. So I hope that answers your question on that one, Chris. For me, in my business, if you're asking me, most of the work I do, Chris, and most of the work I do with my customers, I ceramic coat everything, mate. So this is why some of the videos you've seen me recently using CS from Garage Therapy, which I'm going to be doing some more videos on. I think it's a real good, it's going to be a real good stocking filler for you. Because from what I've seen so far, we're using a non-Garage Therapy product that I use for my coatings at the moment, working with one of my other brands' coatings. CS is working really well with that, and it hasn't interfered too much with the with the hydrophobics as well, and so it's working really well as a topper, and that'll give you a good 5 months. And this is all obviously depending on the time of year, the amount of miles you do, your wash process, the chemicals you use, and that's why Garage Therapy has the framework when it comes to 0, 1, 2, and 3. So obviously the further you go up the chain when it comes to using certain products, and obviously when you use different dilution ratios, you're obviously going to increase the strength of products, and that has a huge impact on the longevity of protection. But don't get too excited about thinking that Decon shampoo is going to literally strip this all off, because it doesn't. It's over a longer period, over 20 washes, 30 washes, 40 washes, there will be a considerable amount of degradation over over the maintenance range, if you put them side by side, but it's not going to just start stripping off waxes willy-nilly with that process. So what can I tell you today that you didn't know already or you haven't heard already? If you've got any more questions, feel free. And if you want to come on, again, like I said before, feel free to hit the link in the description. That's all right, DRK Dragon. How you doing, mate? Thanks for coming by, mate. I appreciate it. If you've got any questions, I saw a lot of your responses, big man, to the House of Rags live tonight. Very impressed, mate. You've definitely started building your Garage Therapy knowledge, mate. So very, 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 very impressed. I'll put the link in the description again. So if you guys are interested in coming on and having a face-to-face and having a little chat, feel free to jump on. The link is in the chat. And if you want to use it, just come on. I'll get a little notification and you can ask me any question you like. Absolutely any question you like. So let's go through the range. Let's go into citrus. So we've done the trim, Decon shampoo, had a little chat about Decon shampoo. So some interesting topics that we can talk about with Garage Therapy 1 Snow Foam V2. There was an interesting conversation on the 4 podcast tonight about what is Snow Foam's, Garage Therapy Snow Foam's nearest competitor or comparison. Snow Foam V2 gets compared to Touchless from Built Hammer all the time. And I'd like to say that Garage Therapy is flattered and very pleased about the fact that they get compared on this, because Built Hammer do some fantastic products. They're a really good range of products. And in the UK, what has happened is with Garage Therapy bringing out these performing products, it really has changed and put a rocket up people's backsides to create better chemicals. And they've been watching Garage Therapy a lot to see what happens. And so Touchless, for a long time, Autofoam from Built Hammer was a very popular product in the UK when I started working in 2020 when I got into detailing. And so with Garage Therapy bringing out Snow Foam, they had the V1. It really did do a lot. It had a lot of cleaning power. With a pH of 12, it's on the more alkaline side, which is why it's blue. There's a little nugget for you there. The colours of the products represent the alkalinity of the product. So if it's in blue, it's going to be an alkaline. Obviously, Snow Foam is a pH of 12, which is obviously depending on the pH. Obviously, it's close. So you're going to see that it's more of an alkaline product. Obviously, Decon shampoo is purple because it's very close. It's a pH of 14, which is why it's purple. So these little nuggets in there are going to help you with the pH systems as well. But before we get into that, let's bring up this question from Chris again. Chris has asked a little question and we'll bring it up on the screen. What dilution level of Decon would be safe to what dilution level of decon would be safe to strip waxes and light sealants, or would it not do it, or would it be safe? Listen, it's very safe, Chris. It's very safe. But what I would say about decon shampoo is, especially from all the stuff I've seen over the years on YouTube, when all the UK YouTubers used to do their wax testing and sealant testing and all that sort of stuff using decon shampoo. Decon shampoo is designed to strip off last hanging on protection, so protection that's at its end of life. So if you're trying to remove a product that is been installed and it's halfway through its life, then the best way to remove a product would be going through the decon process, and hitting it with like a decon shampoo, but then obviously hitting it with iron oxide, which is an acid, and then obviously hitting it with WSR, which is also a solvent. Citrus is a solvent. So a lot of these products, when you're using them, are going to degrade the product. And so 1 to 10 is probably a really safe dilution ratio to use decon shampoo at. But the best way to remove any protection would be through actually machine polishing. That will always give you a really good base layer to protect your vehicle again. So that's what I would say is the best form of removal of any sealants and waxes is very good. Now, having said that, when I was working with the Car Boutique and editing their videos, they used a product called Wax Off, which was a product by Fireball, and that seemed to work really, really well to strip off waxes and sealants. And so while this is a GT Live, there are products out there on the market that actually designed to do that. But I would always say, if you want the perfect bond and the perfect duration of a coating, any coating, then the cleaner the paint and the better prep the vehicle is, then I would say that would be my go-to process. And I hope that has answered your question, Chris. I'm interested in trim. I've seen your videos. Let me bring this up first. I'm interested in trim. I've seen your videos. How long does it last, and how did you have examples of how it looks like, say, 3 weeks later? Also, does it recondition the trim and runners like Tri-Serum? That is a great question. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's find trim quickly for you so I can literally have a little bit of my stuff. So I'm not totally sure on the duration of trim and how long it lasts, if I'm honest. What I have seen, what I can tell you is going to be quite interesting, because in some of the stuff me and Maz have been talking about is on brand new tyres, to start the conversation, trim works really, really well, but it does seem to merge really, really well in a similar way to how tyre serum does, meaning that its chemistry really bonds and migrates into the surface lovely, which means it doesn't leave a greasy, horrible kind of residue behind. It's not shiny or glossy, but if you obviously was to use it a stronger dilution ratio, it would. Now, I've got it at 1 to 4, 1 to 10, and 1 to 20, which is an unbelievable amount of. So even if you buy a litre, you're going to get 4 litres, which when it comes to Car Propel, it's either 1 to 1 or neat when it comes to come on tyres. So that's going to be quite a strong concentration. 3 weeks later, I can tell you this, that I've had this on now on my X5 on the bumpers and stuff for over. Well, it was June the 2nd it came out, so I had the product 2 weeks earlier. So now we're in the end of August. So we're now talking June, July, August. We're talking nearly 2.5 months, 3 months. So it's still going really strong, mate. The fact that it's so easy to apply is incredible. How long did it last? And Paul Dolden as well, my mate Paul Dolden. Paul Dolden Details, very, very good YouTuber, is obsessed with Car Propel. And he's got a lot of classic cars that have got really good faded plastic trims, and he's been absolutely loving this product, and he just can't use it enough. And so I think that says a lot when someone like that is keeps pulling it off their shelf to use it, which is going to be interesting. And I think at the moment trims are very much a sleeper product. It's very much a sleeper product at the moment. I think until I start doing more and more content on it, which I will, I think you're going to be. What I have seen from the plastics, and very similar with tire serum is the beading properties on it. The weatherproofing is pretty much awesome. And so if you check out Paul Dolden details his video on trim, which why not see if we can pull that up while we're here to give you a little bit of an insight. Let me see if I can do this at the same time. And let me see if I can turn down the music so that I don't actually get that coming in through the thing. All Dolden details. There we go. Because I think it'd be quite interesting to have a look at this. There we go. The secrets of interior dressing and treatment. So let me pull this up quickly. Let's share this tab instead. Right. So Paul's using this. Aren't you, Paul? Good old Paul. Let's bring this up. So as you can see, look, in all fairness, Paul's using a lot of products here, right? Good old Paul, loves to get in there. So you can see Paul splashing it on, and here we go, we're going to show you the water behaviour now. That, pretty incredible, right? Let me just pause you a minute, Paul. So, yeah, that's pretty good. What was the rest of your question? Also, does it recondition the trim rubbers like tire serum? Right. Does it recondition the trim and rubbers like tire serum? The answer is yes. But if you're looking for something a little bit stronger, tire serum is a lot stouter. If you've used tire serum, what you'll tend to see with tire serum is the fact that it will. I wouldn't say. I keep using the word acrylic, but it's not. It's not an acrylic, but the way it works is it merges with the rubber and soaks in. So they're very similar in that sense, but tire serum definitely outweighs GT trim when it comes to the protection element, in the fact that how thick it is and how stout it is. It's a much stronger product, but the thing is about trim is you can use it on interiors and exteriors and on plastics. And so the biggest answer to this question is, when it comes to trim, is there's so many different types of plastics, materials or rubber, that it's very hard to give you a straight answer when it comes to actually these kind of questions, if that makes sense, because every substrate will be, and there's so many different types of plastics, it's incredible. But it will darken, it will improve, and actually you can layer it as well, which is actually really, really interesting. Let's have a look. So, the unique hydrophobic properties of 2-Trim offers exceptional water repellency, which we've just seen, preventing moisture build-up and prolonging the life of treated surfaces. Its UV-resistant formulation helps guard against sun-inducing fading and cracking, ensuring your vehicle's trim rubbers maintain like new appearance. That's a really important point, basically, because that shares the same understanding of basically what tire serum is. It will obviously nourish. It's a nourishing agent, which is interesting. Suitable for tires and engine bays. Now, if you was to ask Maz, would he use trim on his tires? He'd say no. He'd say no. Trim is more designed for engine bays. It's more designed for plastics for exteriors. And it's also designed for a stronger darkening effect on interiors. And so that's one of those things. Whereas dash serum is a different chemistry, which it's used in a maintenance system. And so it does have darkening properties, but it also has a cleaning property as well, a light cleaning property for maintenance. And so that's where 2-Trim comes in, because if you like a silicone-based product, and also dash serum is also non-dilutable, whereas trim is. And at 1 to 20, you're going to get 20 litres. You're going to get 21 litres, if you understand it. That's how I use interior cleaners, soak up the whole door card and soak it up. Yeah, listen, what Paul's doing on that video, let's bring Paul back in, is basically, give me a thumbs up if you can actually hear Paul, just in case. Otherwise I need to mute it.
And welcome back to the warm and sunny Paul Roldan Details channel. Yes, he's very...
Just in case. But yeah, Paul uses it at quite a strong dilution ratio. Obviously, yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know if you guys are using the press-hole sprayers from Obsess Garage, but I say garage because they're British. Obsess Garage. SpongeGuru tips, good old SpongeGuru. But what I love about this process, or what Paul's doing right now, is basically you can literally just slap this on. And the great thing is about the overspray is it comes off so easily, so easily off all the painted surfaces. I've purposely sprayed this on. I've oversprayed with it on glass and other areas basically to see how it works, and yeah, it works really well. I see. I do got to get my hands on it and try it out. Yeah, and like I said, I'm sure you've got tons of codes from all the creators you watch, but if you want to use the code OiOi10, that'll help you out as well. What else have we got here? So let's have a look at the next product. Any questions you've got, like I said, getting stuck in. Let's have a little chat. Let's see what we can do. What other products have we got on here? So because you guys are watching, I'm going to give you a really cool pro tip. We're going to slide down the chat. We're going to have a look at Garage Therapy Sigma V3. Now, I've done a little video recently, and I've got a bit of criticism for it talk about the protection. Yep, I've got a Thor code, mate. You can use the code OiOi10 DRK. So you can use that code, absolutely. And because it's an affiliate code, obviously I have to make you aware that I do get a kickback on that. But obviously that is not, the kickback isn't really what I'm fussed about, to be honest with you. What I am fussed about, if you watch my channel, is all the best. I just basically showcase the best products that I can basically get my hands on. And so the affiliate side of it doesn't really, it's a very nice tip and commission, but it doesn't really change my world. So that doesn't defer away from the honest truth I'm going to give you about the products. But I do appreciate, but I have to make you aware of it, obviously, down the line. Like I said, if anyone wants to come on, if you want to come on, Greg, go on, Greg. I know Greg will come on. Come on, Greg. Come on, ask me some questions. Come and pick yourself and see what you want to do. The link is in the chat. You can come and I'll pin that in the chat quickly. You can come on to my studio and ask me a little question. But let's get into Sigma, because I think there's 7 people in the chat. Please, if you are in the chat and you're watching, I appreciate it. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday, by the way. Absolutely awesome. Appreciate you all. But get your questions in. Get the questions in right now, because like I said, this is my first time doing a Q&A. I don't have a big channel, so I'm interested to see if these are going to be something you're interested in. I'm not sure if we're going to post it. How long will T-Bone says, let me bring it up before I do this. Excuse all the background noise, by the way. My poor dog's poorly. There's aeroplanes and stuff, so I apologise. So let's start again. T-Bone Todd, how long will trim last on interior plastics before having to reapply? So, T-Bone, I would say you're going to get between 6 and 8 weeks on trim before you start to reapply. When it comes to claims with Garage Therapy, what you'll find, T-Bone, is that they don't make big claims on stuff. Most of the products, the durability on them will probably be around when they start to see it dying off or starting to take a nosedive in its protection. But that doesn't mean to say it's not going to be around. But I would say you're probably going to get about 6 to 9 weeks is probably the answer. But that, again, that's always going to be dependent on the chemicals you use. If you was to use decon shampoo with every wash, or use very high concentrations of chemicals, it's going to degrade that product a lot quicker. But the great thing about that, T-Bone, is it's so easy to apply that if you start to see anything start to degrade, it's so easy to use. Once you, if you was going to be using it on exterior plastics, I'd say go for 1 to 4. Why not? And use that as your base layer. And I think you could easily top that up with 1 to 20 on a consistent basis. And that's what's fantastic about the Garage Therapy products, is that being able to layer on top of each other with the same product. But that is a great question, mate. Absolutely great question. So Obviously, if you enjoy car cleaning, then we look forward to really applying as much as possible to keep it good. But if you don't, then obviously maybe try a stronger dilution ratio. But check out the darkening effect. One thing that people don't realise is trim has no scent to it at all. Because it's an exterior product, they didn't put any scent in it. Because sometimes some scents can have a real impact on the performance of products. And so it's a scentless product as well, which is great. There's this thing that Katiba does where the stack their gloss boost, the QD wet wax akin to Sigma 3P and or signature wax sealant like this. Have you tried that with a GT line? Stacking. Stacking's a great question. Let me bring this up on the screen so people can see what they said. So yeah, stacking products like gloss boosters, wet waxes, all these kind of things. This is a great little idea because when it comes to a scenario, let me give you a scenario where you're using your machine polish in a vehicle. The customer doesn't want it to be ceramic coated. Maybe you've got a vehicle that's a classic car. Maybe you've got a vehicle that the client doesn't want to spend that much money on ceramic coating. CS is a really, really strong product. And I can see Greg down there. Hold on a minute. While we just get into this, let's bring Greg in. Greg, can you hear me? Can you see me? Let me just bring this down a second. Let's see if Greg's in. Let's bring Greg up on the screen. Put your thumb up, Greg, if you can hear me and say, or if can you see me? Can anyone see Greg? Can anyone see Greg? Let me get Greg on. 1 second. And we'll get back into that question again. Picture in picture, picture in pictures, picture in picture. There we go. Let me get Greg on. There we go. Let me take this down for a minute. Stop sharing the screen. Stop. There we go. Greg, how are you, buddy? Can you hear me all right? I think you've muted me. Have you got mute on? Where are you? You can you? Oh, you can see it. People can see you, Greg, but we can't hear you because I don't know if your mic's on, Greg.
How about now?
Loud and clear. Welcome, Greg, to the Johnny Shield
All right.
Detailing Q&A. How are you, buddy?
Good. How are you doing, Johnny?
I'm doing really well, mate. Thanks for your amazing enthusiasm on garage therapy so far, mate. We really appreciate it. Hit me. We was just talking about the stacking system, so let me just finish off DRK's question, then we'll get into one of your questions, buddy. So I appreciate you coming and joining me and sharing this live with me. I appreciate that. So, the stacking system.
Sure.
Stacking system. So basically, when you're in a scenario when you've got a car that needs protection, you can use CS is going to give you up to 5 months. I would say when it says up to 5 months, I don't want to make any bold claims because that's not what garage therapy is about. But if you're in a situation where the car's kept in the garage, it's not driven a lot, you probably could get 5 to 9 months easily, depending on how many times you're washing the car and what type of surfactants you're going to be using on the vehicle. It's quite good. Now, CS is a product that needs to be applied with an applicator because it's so strong. And so I would apply it like a ceramic coating. And it's a great way, if you've never ceramic coated a car before, CS is a great product that's safe, that you can use, and use it with microfiber, a really nice microfiber applicator, preferably a rag company one or something like that of that nature would be really good. And there's a video that's going to be coming out which I'll show you how to do it. Now, if you want to help with CS and make it last a bit longer, then you can actually use Sigma. You can use Sigma on there, which is because they're gonna play well together because of the chemistry. It's going to make Sigma very, very easy to basically bond to each other. They will work and mesh together quite nicely. They will cross-link. And so you can then use Sigma as a QD. How do you use Sigma as a QD? Here comes the really, really cool little nugget that Maz shared with me at the weekend. If you've got CS on your car already, you can actually dilute Sigma at 1:1 and use it like a QD, which is exceptional, I can't wait to add that to the video. So that's a little bit of a, for you guys on the live watching, a little bit of a nugget. And so you can use that really quickly as a QD. Now, when you apply these products in this stacking system, sometimes you might get high spots. If you're new to this, then what could happen is you might end up with a high spot. And because it's such a strong product, a lot of agitation and aggression to get this product off could end up marring the paint, because friction is not our friend when it comes to buffing. So using QD, like Garage Therapy Quick Detailer, is going to do a great job of mopping up all the high spots and removing the high spots and leveling that coating. So it works really, really well. And so you can also use Garage Therapy Rinseless in this setting as well, which works really, really well to remove the high spots. So I hope that helps. And what I will say is, so far in my testing, when I've stacked CS, Sigma, and QD, I think you might end up giving wax. You could end up putting your waxes to one side for a bit. So, Greg, welcome. How are you? And first of all, and what's your question, mate? What's the first question you want? Because we've got quite a few questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I'm doing good up here in West Seattle, doing some painting on a friend's fence. But I spoke with Eddie on the restocking video this morning about putting a coating on a 93 240SX, and he suggested the Cerberus. I think it's pronounced Cerberus.
Cerberus, yeah.
Yeah, so I watched a video at lunch today, and the gentleman that was installing it, I think it was about 2 or 3 years old, he actually put 2 coatings on. And then after that, he added a topper. I think it was CS.
It could be CS or could be Chimera. Is the top coat normally goes on top of Cerberus really well?
Yeah, no, it wasn't Chimera. It was in a spray. It was definitely a spray. So
CS then. Yeah, it'd be CS.
Yeah. So it's not required to put 2 coatings on, is it? Or I think with a 240SX, I'll probably just prime the pad and get through the entire car. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's probably going to take me 15 minutes, but I'm just curious if I was going to do a bigger car, if I really needed to use 2 coats.
So first of all, is this for business or for pleasure or for practice?
Pleasure and practice.
Pleasure and practice. So you want to have a go at using a ceramic coating, right?
Yeah. I've done about 25 cars so far, so I'm pretty familiar with putting coatings on.
Awesome. So what I would say is a great starter kit if you're not a full-time detailer and you want some help with a product, then actually Chimera, the top coat, actually does have ceramic in it as a top coat, which is quite unique. Everything you're going to find out about Garage Therapy is what they do have is they have a lot of pro tips and pro nuggets and alternative uses, and also little sleeper things that you don't know about. And the thing is about what separates them from this top coat is it's a year coating. So I would say you wouldn't actually need to use Cerberus. You could actually use Chimera as a great little thing, and it's so, for you, Greg, I would recommend it because it's so easy to apply. And also Orthoris as well, which is a PPF coating, but it works really well on paint. These 2 products are so easy to apply. Cerberus, I would say, is better for when you're more experienced. You understand how these are, how you can install them. They are a consumer-based coating, so obviously they have guaranteed them making them a little bit easier for you to manage, and obviously you do get some really good results. But I would say Chimera is going to be a great product to use to start with in that setting, and it's going to give you about a year, if that makes sense. And so a great tip. But if you want to go ahead and use Cerberus, no, you don't have to use Chimera as the top coat. You can just use CS if you wanted to. You don't even have to use it. Sometimes it's great for us to see the ceramic's performance on its own, if that makes sense. You want to see how the ceramic performs. And so sometimes when we put top coats on, we don't actually see the true performance of a ceramic coating. And so it depends on what you're trying to do. I would say Whenever you're doing a coating, though, Greg, is you should always do 2 coats on a car. The reason why you should always do 2 coats of ceramic is a bit like painting a fence from black to white. You know, if you had a black fence and you're trying to paint it white, you know, you would basically have to do 2 coats, right? And so what would happen is because we've got peaks and valleys on the surface of a car, they're going to have different levels of paint all over the car, aren't we? Lots of different microns. And now a ceramic coating will only give you up to about 1 micron if you're very good at applying and installing it. So the reason why you do 2 coats is because the first layer of the coating is going to fill in those areas, those gaps, those peaks, those valleys, and those areas you've done. Obviously, if you've got a car that's scratched and swirled and isn't level anyway, then a duration of a coating is going to go down anyway, because we've obviously seen when cars get dirty and they've got scratches on them, you can see the scratches highlight where the dirt's migrated into those areas, right? So we always want to try and level the paint as much as possible before we install any coating. Now, 2 coats is fantastic. That's what you want to do. The second coat will go along a lot easier. And obviously, when you're doing your coating, no one is perfect at applying a coating. There's pressure. There's the leveling process can be very difficult when it comes to a coating, that people don't realise that when people level coatings, they tend to put too much pressure on and they tend to remove all of the coating when they're doing their leveling process. And so a very light dab, a very gentle pressure to move the coating, and then obviously wait like 30, 40 seconds and then do a really nice hard final buff is going to be really, really well. But that's why we do two coatings basically with a ceramic coating, which is why you get a nice 50ml bottle, is because you can do 2 coats on a car easily, and that's going to build up the level of the ceramic. It's also going to build up if you've missed any areas by accident, it's going to hopefully install those areas, and that's a good practice. Does that help, Greg?
Yeah, it does help. In fact, that's exactly what I'm doing. I primed parts of a fence today in white, and I'm painting over it this afternoon in gray, and I've got to go back over it with a second coat. So yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
perfect sense.
And so, but go for it.
I was just going to follow up with so 2 coats. That shouldn't take long on, because it's a much smaller car and it's convertible.
Mm-hmm.
And the topper isn't necessary, but if you would recommend, what did you call the bottled one?
Chimera.
And what do you get from Chimera that you're not getting from Cerberus?
Higher deflection. So with a hydrophobic coating that goes on top, you're increasing the beading properties. You're increasing, which is going to give you a better contact angle, which is also going to help deflect. There's the deflection part of when you're driving your car around. So like self-cleaning properties, basically, right? And so when you add a when you increase the cleaning properties or the slickness or the hydrophobicity properties of a car and the contact angle, what you're doing is on vertical panels, basically dirt will just stream off. Does that make sense? This is why Formula One cars test in these scenarios when it comes to the wind tunnel and different coatings on their vehicles, if that makes sense, to reduce drag. So these kind of processes, obviously, when you're using Chimera, what you're trying to do is the less dirt that builds up on the car, you've now got this wind reflection, this dirt reflection, and that will hopefully prolong the length of a coating. So that's why G-Technic with Crystal Serum Light say 3 years single, and if you add EXO, it's 3 to 5 years, because obviously that will then give you that thing. So the benefits are cleaning properties, and so a coating can't always do it all. Does that make sense? A ceramic is designed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So a coating is designed to do it all. But if you was to use, you could quite happily use CS. But what you're going to get from CS is you're going to have to reapply it later on through the coating's life, if that makes sense. And so those are those things. People are always looking for shortcuts we're actually really we're detailing perverts, so we can't wait for it to die off, so we can put more stuff on it. Does that make sense? So that's probably
Yeah.
that's if you like us installing stuff, then you probably won't want to use too much. And so
Yeah.
you might want
Yeah.
to, how you want to play with it. But I think you'll be very, very happy with Cerberus. A very consumer friendly coating, very easy on, very easy off. I have to say, a disclaimer: I haven't used it yet. I will be using it. I haven't used it for the sake of a video because I don't want my views and opinions to be biased. So I want to give you a real life thing. Even though I work with Garage Therapy a lot, my views aren't biased. I'm not in any situation. I'm very independent on it. So I still want to, like my experiences with CS and my experiences with these products, I want them to be true and authentic for you guys. Because actually, why me and Gary's therapy is so aligned is because we have the same goal. My goal for my YouTube channel was I like training, I like teaching, I like educating, and I feel there's a lot of misinformation on the internet that I feel needs to be corrected, and I feel passionate about hopefully trying to give out good information for people like yourself to improve their abilities to detail. Garage Therapy are detailers. Their passion is detailing. So they've created chemicals to help detailers detail better, if that makes any sense. And so where I'm into the content creating world, they're into the chemical creating world. And so, but we both have the same goal to do stuff. But so that's why I haven't used the product. But that's why I'm looking forward to use the product. And obviously, I don't do this as a full-time. I do this full-time, but I don't do a lot of cars all the time because I make a lot of content. So I'm not servicing vehicles day in, day out like a full-time person would be. Let's just check to see anyway. I'm on the House of Rags anyway. Let's have a look. If you've got any other questions, Greg, feel free to hit him. But we'll have a look at. Let's have a look to see what it says on
I
Cerberus on
think
here anyway.
I think the only size we have available is the 30 mil on the House of Rags. I don't think we have 50 mils unless it only comes in 50.
You're right. There is only a 30 mil on there, but you should be able to get to. You should be with that kind of car, Greg. You should be able to get that. You should be able to get that easily, mate. And like I said, I'll try and get that video done as soon as possible for you, Greg, so you can get it out there. I'll try and get that done. Hopefully, I'll try and get something done this Sunday for you, and maybe I might even risk doing it live. That might be crazy. Being raw and ceramic coating live, that would be pretty nuts. What I will have to say though, Greg, is the actual packaging in the box that it comes in it's so good. You want to sort of keep it. You don't want to throw it away. They spent a lot of money on that. So
yeah, I did notice that on the videos this morning.
So the chemical resistance is from pH 2 to 11 on Cerberus, right? It's got a 7H hardness, which obviously gives you some good wash marring resistance, extreme gloss and slickness, very good salt resistance, corrosion resistance, UV and heat resistance, right? So version 2 gives you an increase in coating thickness and solids content. So this is something that's really they're passionate about with their CS and all their SiO2 based products is the amount of solids they put into the product, which is what separates these companies basically from the raw materials. This is obviously going to then increase the coating's hardness and durability, which gives you a lot of confidence when you see that applicator go really nice and hard. The great thing about it is that blend between hardness and ability to install it as a consumer, right? So there's a nice bit of balance between the two. It gives you a nice improved color depth and gloss. Gives you that nice filling capability in a sense with the ceramic coating that you're going to improve the depth of color and gloss because it's obviously going to do the amount of solids that's in there is going to obviously fill in gaps and do bits and pieces and obviously correct certain things. And you get and they've created obviously in version 2 an increase in the slickness. So I think you might be quite good at using that. If I was in your situation, Greg, I would probably use Cerberus on its own. I probably would top it to start with CS, see how that plays, and if you wanted to down the line, you could then use Chimera if that makes sense, and see how that plays as well. I think with the version 2, with those extra specifications, I think you probably be Cerberus on its own is good enough. And I think if they're saying it's 3 years, it's 3 years.
Okay.
And so if you was to top it with Chimera, um, I would say you probably would get 3 to 5, just like the G Technic system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. All right. Yeah, that's good. That was my questions, and I'm going to consider what I need to order and take care of that tonight.
Yeah, go for it, mate. And like I said, um, always when you're doing ceramic coatings, make sure you use always when you're coating cars brand new pearl weave towels. Always use a
Yep.
suede applicator and a suede block. That Cerberus comes with that in the kit anyway, so that already comes kitted out. But Eddie was interesting enough. Eddie was talking about bringing in some of the accessories to Thor for garage therapy, and I have to say, the accessories that I use for garage therapy, the wash pads, the wash mitts, the microfiber towels. If hopefully they get them in. They really have thought about the whole system, if that makes sense, when it comes to how the whole ecosystem works. And so, but the pearl weave towels are very, very high grade from GT, and I would always recommend using them from using them from scratch. And like, because when you've gone to that level of work to create a really nice finish for the vehicle, and then you're going to coat it, the last thing you want to use is secondary towels or towels that have been through a cycle of washing and all that sort of stuff. I think you want to use, and for the price of the towels, it's a small price to pay for perfection, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So definitely,
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people go wrong and skip those processes. But I will definitely try and get you, and you've got my number, Greg, so you can always chat to me, and we can do something with you anyway when you're talking. The application and leveling process is going to be the most important part of the application.
Okay.
And temperature when you apply it. Try and apply it when it's not so warm. I don't know what the temperatures are. The temperatures are warm everywhere, so
Yeah.
you want to make sure
a little over 100 today and tomorrow and Sunday. So.
you don't want to be coated in those temperatures, mate.
No, you don't, Umberto.
You don't want to be coating in those temperatures because, yeah, it's just you'd have to do such tiny sections to be accurate. And I would say this is why CS and Sigma and the waxes are so really important, because in those conditions, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's a get out of jail free card when it comes to obviously applying protection if you need to in those settings. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
And if you're maintaining the customer's vehicle, by the way, I think one of the things that people don't realise, and another video I'm coming, I'm giving all my secrets away tonight. In another video, is on the cars I'm testing on that I've done very, very high end, extreme correction and paint correction and stuff, and I haven't coated them. I haven't used the ceramic coating on, but I maintain them. But they haven't been ceramic coated. They just are just coated with a QD. Have lasted very, very long before anything's happened. And so while people get so excited about using ceramic coatings, the actual prep process goes really, really it goes by the wayside sometimes, because even a car that my next door neighbour's car that hasn't been washed for 7 months. The last time I washed it was 7 months ago, when I rinsed the wheels off using iron oxide to dwell for like 10 minutes. When I rinsed them off, because last time I did them, I took the wheels off the car to completely detar them. I clay barred them, I polished them. 7 months later, it hadn't had a wash, and I used iron oxide, and the wheels came up as if I took the wheels off again. And so people really don't really understand the prep process is way more important, because I've seen, and it surprised me, the longevity of, we get so hyped up about what we want to coat the car with, but not so hyped up about how we want to prep the car. And the cars I've prepped are not coated with ceramic coatings because the customers don't want to afford it. I've actually seen, just really good performance from just good prep work, which is reassuring for me as a detailer that I'm doing the correct processes. So I hope that helps as well.
Yeah. Last question on this is how long in between the first and second coat, and then if I decide to go with Chimera, how long do I wait for that?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I would say an hour. I would say that you've got a window of an hour. If you go any longer than that, the problem you'll have is that the coating will start to cure, and it won't, and you've missed the
Reject it.
window. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it will reject it. I think it's an hour, but I will message you and double check that. That's kind of it's kind of a ballpark figure with most coatings. It will take you pretty much most coatings will take an hour to apply and install and get around a car anyway, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
they normally are in that ballpark window. Um, but I think with like something like Cerberus, where they pride themselves on the ease of application, I think you should be able to get around that. If it's a smaller car, I think you should be able to get that around that really easily, Greg. So,
Yeah.
but I'd say now, but I will definitely confirm that with you on WhatsApp if that's possible.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all the questions I have. I'm
Go for it.
looking
Yeah,
forward to doing this in
absolutely.
the next few weeks.
Yeah, listen, I will try and do more of these Q&As on an evening on a scheduled, not just the I'm just going live, boys. Jump on if that makes sense. And look, by the way, you guys are brilliant at like checking out when I'm live or when I'm putting up a video up. You're on it like a carb on it. I'm telling you, you're absolutely brilliant. But I
Yeah,
think if
the Thor crew is pretty amazing. Yeah.
I'm struggling because over here at the moment all the creators are just creating pressure washer videos, so it's hard for me to keep up with the demand of the questions and the responses for stuff and try and give you a great video to not only be entertained with but also packed full of information. It's hard for me to get this out fast enough, so maybe this might be the way forward in future to schedule more lives on a set day for people to come on and have Q&As, a bit like so you guys can get this information, because as much as we do the Thor lives with Thor and stuff, and hopefully we've got another one really on the shampoos and stuff. When obviously when we get Maz on, when we get the goat on, it obviously helps because he was the one who built it, he was the one who created it, he's the one who formulated it, right? So his input on the stuff is much more particular and more specific. But I definitely think with my knowledge of detailing, I can help you with these kind of questions, if that makes sense, and hopefully
Yep.
give you more confidence, because without the information, you're powerless, aren't you, to install it? It's and knowledge is power, which is the important part of the YouTube channel, if that makes sense, of trying to give you guys more advice. So, what have you got so far in your lineup, Greg, and what are you liking about the product so far?
Well, so the only product that I have in the cabinet right now is what I think I mentioned it to you last week, is a dash serum. But I've got all I ordered 0 and 1 today. All 0, all 1 today.
Yeah. So, as in like the whole zero range, or have you just got as in what products you got? The whole zero range.
All 0 range and all 1 range. Yeah.
Cool. So you've got Decon shampoo, you've got citrus. You're gonna have
all that. Yep. Probably in about a week and a half, I would say. I'll get it.
Awesome. So so when you get you're gonna be excited. So what's my question to you then, Greg, is what's drawn you to the Gary's Therapy products in particular? What have you liked about them so far?
Well,
what are we basically? The question is, I'll start again. What are we doing well that's enticing you to buy these products? What are we doing well?
So, podcast 1, podcast 2, podcast 3 were pretty amazing. I think I mentioned it that I watched, or I didn't watch them because I was driving, but I had them playing on the stereo on the way out to Idaho, and the level of details and the information that Maz is providing and you're providing is pretty detailed, and it's really helpful on this is what a decon shampoo is, this is what it can do, and these are all the use cases for it. It's not just putting it on the paint and washing the dirt off. There are so many more use cases for it. And I think Ryan said it in his video that he can wash it and he can do it a complete car with it, depending on the dilution rates that he's he's using, and that was in the video that you posted yesterday or the day. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's fascinating to find out because what I've done with garage therapy is I've basically opened up Maz's brain and force fed out some of the information because he's so intelligent. One of his things is he wants you to learn yourself. He doesn't want to tell you and put information into your head and basically think. He wants you to think for yourself. He doesn't want to lay influence on me. So when I do this on podcasts and YouTubes and stuff and all the videos I do, when I say it's taken me 2 years to learn the product, 2 to 3 years, it's because Maz doesn't tell you. Like, I'm the opposite to Maz. I basically tell him, I go, use it like this, use it like that, it'll work brilliantly. Boom, there you go. Right? He won't do that. He wants to basically cement his understanding of the products. And so when I go to him and go, Maz, I've just used DMS like this, and this. I can't believe what's happened. And he's like, yeah, we know. He already knows what in his testing results because the amount of testing they do is they don't just throw out a product. There's products that have been in the bank for so long, and there's products that are coming out so long later that you're going to be really, really excited about, right? And so when these products come out. And so my biggest anxiety with GT when it first came out was in the US was that we've already done this process that I'm doing with you now. With Maz did it with the YouTubers in the UK where he would send them a bottle of snow foam. He would say you can use it in a pump sprayer, you could use it in a snow foam cannon, you can use it in an IK, you can use it 1 to 10, you can use it blah blah blah. You know, so he's done all these kind of processes. But like all other YouTubers that we have in the UK, they're not most of them aren't detailers, Greg. So they're all enthusiasts like you, creating a YouTube channel, giving information to other enthusiasts, which is like the loonies running an asylum. So Maz's job was basically.
I'm a loony.
I say yeah. So Maz's job was not job, but what he was passionate about, as you've seen on the YouTube lives, right, that we've done, was to help people educate. He loves the detail. And so it was like, try it like this and see what you get. And like Chris is saying in the comments, which I love, that's a great shout, Chris. It is true, it's true. I'd say the same thing. Is that tell us, we ain't got time to think. Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you.
Chris said that?
Yeah, Chris said that. So it's true. It's true. We ain't got time to think. So I get annoyed when the only thing that I've found that Maz hasn't found out about his products and his testing was the snow foaming rinseless. So in his testing, for some reason, rinseless didn't work in his test for a snow foam cannon. And so when I did my testing, and obviously you saw the video, like, I can't tell you how cool that was up close to see that. Like, it really, the sad part about it is I can't give you that feeling of what it felt like on the paint. And I don't know, on all the rinselesses I've used when it comes to the original rinseless, the original goat, which is obviously Optimum no rinse. Then you've got Absolute, which I wasn't really. Absolute rinseless didn't really do a lot for me. I preferred Optimum's rinseless, if I'm honest with you. I didn't like the thickness of Absolute. Didn't really play well with me. Fragrance was lovely, but it was just too thick. It was a few little things that just sort of deterred me. But I don't really know the product in and out to give a better opinion on that. But when I use GT rinseless, because it's a surfactant based and not polymer based, with those other products that I'm talking about, those other rinselesses, what it was leaving behind was the polymers, and you could feel like a film on the paint. With GT, because it's a surfactant based rinseless, I was so interested to see how it would work as a foam on product, and it was, for people who love using rinseless, I just think it's absolutely excellent. And if you do the best case practices, which is a pre-wash procedure, I don't see any reason why you can't use rinseless as a wash process in those environments. But what I will say is, rinseless products were designed for post-maintenance filler type scenarios to remove dust for cars that are kept in garages that don't need to be pulled out to be washed, and they can be washed in their entirety inside the garage or where they're kept, in areas where water's not present, and also where people go to shows to have a safe wash rather than just using QDs to wipe down their cars. A lot of the information now that's out there on the internet, cheers DRK, see you soon buddy, I think a lot of the information that's getting out there now is where people are trying to overstretch something, and a lot of the detailers that do YouTube like Ryan and Charleston will probably sing from the same hymn sheet, where they say when it comes to why would you use rinseless in that scenario to wash with when you've already got the foamer out and you've already got the buckets out? Why would you then use the rinseless process? Rinseless really is only really designed in a detailer's arsenal for if you're going to detail a car that's inside a garage or inside a showroom that you can't get a hose to or pressure washers to, or if you don't have access to it. I know that Eddie loves rinseless and blah, 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 but best case practices, best case scenarios, you would actually always go with foam first and go for the actual best case scenarios, procedures in a safe wash process, if that makes sense. It's going to, because preservation of clear coat is obviously a detailer's first and foremost when it comes to doing cars and stuff. So those are those little things. But when it comes to Maz, going back to the original question, the original point is he won't give you that information until you're at the point where you've reached that level. It's like, you know, like playing computer games, you've got to go through different levels. Like every time I hit another level, it's like I've like beat the boss, and I've told him like, this is great. You're like, yeah, I know. And then it's like I've got to go and do another level to find something else, which is why it's taken me so long to get through these products. But this is what's keeping me interested. What I would say is not a lot of young kids are patient enough to take the time to go into this and learn this stuff, or take time to mature with this range. And so people just want a quick fix, like just smash. Do you get what I mean? Just put decon shampoo
Google
on
it.
everything.
Google it. Yeah.
Well, just basically like you're like, you know, you and me, Greg, we want to sort of fiddle around a bit and play with it, and actually our egos and pride want to learn it. You know, we want to get it in our hands. We want to see what it feels like and have a go on it. We don't really want to be told what to do. Like, I want to fail first, then ask the question later. Does that make sense? And then I'll find out what I did wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I really like about the Thor group too, because you know if there's a question, you know, we just ask it in the Thor Facebook group, you know, and you know, everybody's got some information with a scenario that they've tried something with.
It's very helpful, isn't it? It's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we go, mate? Has anyone else got any questions in the chat? We've had quite a few good questions tonight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's have a look. What else we got? We got let's see what else we got on here. I will tell you this, and I think it goes overlooked quite a lot, if I'm honest with you. And the product in there that I'm going to give you that I think is very much overlooked, and let's bring it up on the screen, is this product here. Let me share it. It is GT. That one there. There we go. Share. It's panel wipe. GT panel wipe has been one of those products that has surprised me a lot because of its chemistry is absolutely amazing. So when you're trying to prep, we talked about obviously GT trim has just landed in the US, and I would say I would highly recommend, if you're going to buy a GT trim, definitely think about getting zero panel wipe as well, because using this on rubbers and plastics and trims, you can basically prep those surfaces and degrease really, really well, and it's a very, very good cleaner. Now, look, it's an expensive way of cleaning plastics, and it's an expensive way of doing tires and stuff, but I would say if ever you're doing an application of tire serum to your rubbers on the tires, the first initial process is go through your wash process, go through your procedure, but use panel wipe. I think not many people are using panel wipe to to basically prep the surface properly before they're actually applying a coating or prepping something for tire serum or prepping their trim properly. And you can dilute this as well at 1:1. But I do think especially a great product like this is going to do a good cleaning job of cleaning the paint. The feeling you're going to get is going to be very, very satisfactory, that you know that paint's going to be very grabby, very tacky when it comes to before you machine polish, and those kind of things. And so I hope that kind of helps people out there, because like I said, you can use it we can dilute it to 1:1. But if you use it neat, but I would always say, like I said, the best scenario for it is obviously spray it onto a towel, use it like a glass cleaner really, really well. I tell you what as well, Greg, I'm actually really interested to find out. Let me just stop sharing that screen for a minute to bring you back up on the screen. I'm really interested for you to play with Garage Therapy's glass cleaner. Now, glass cleaner is not a very sexy product for people to talk about. It's not a great product to make on a video. It's not a great product video, let's be honest with you. If you said I'm going to do a review on glass cleaners, you'd probably fall asleep and die a very sore death when it comes to glass cleaners. What I will say is that there's a very good trick to Garage Therapy glass cleaner, and that is it's got significant great wetting agents in it. That if you have, everyone talks about Built Hamber with its the glass cleaner, but it's extremely strong as a product and smells really vigorous. One of the big things when it comes to cleaning glass, doing perfect glass cleaning, is the wetting agents are great, that they don't dry too quickly, so that gives you the ability to mop up the glass and get rid of the dirt off the glass. And having those wetting agents means that if you can actually pull the dirt off. If a glass cleaner dries too fast, and this is great for you guys to listen to this because it's important when you're doing testing or trying stuff. If a glass cleaner will dry out too fast or evaporate too quickly, you're not having enough time to pull off the dirt off the vehicle, pull the dirt off the glass. So what you'll end up doing is it will end up drying it. The dirt will dry again. That's a bit like a scenario on an interior. If you scrub an interior and then use a dirty towel, and you continue to use the same side of the towel, you're transferring dirt back onto the vehicle again. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, I've got some of that coming too.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping on, Greg. Appreciate it. Anything you need, mate? You got my WhatsApp?
Yeah, but I won't bug you on Saturday. I know that.
Mate, you can bug me, mate. I work 24/7. You bug me anytime you like, mate. When I see your messages, they're always very kind and very polite. So you're good as gold.
All right. Well, thank you very much for answering the questions, and have a good weekend, dude.
And you, buddy. Feel free to jump.
All right.
Go for it, mate. Right, let's have another look and see what we got. Big fat shout out to Greg there, and what a great guy, what a great supporter of my channel as well, and of Thor as well. So big respect to him. Right then, is there any other questions? I've done an hour and a half. Really quick. That is just flown by. I was thinking I was going to come on here tonight, and I was going to literally be like struggling to talk, struggling to think about stuff, struggling to answer your questions. But I hope I've done some justice here tonight with you guys with some stuff. Let me just have a look back in the range and see if anything just jogs my memory. Let's see if there's anything for you guys that are watching that we can give you some. Got another little pro tip for you. Okay, I'm giving you some of the little pro tips here, because I am spoiling my videos when I'm not a gatekeeper here, but I try and hold things a little bit back so that when you get the chance to watch a video, there's that little bit of wow factor. But let me tell you this. Maz went up to the UKDA, which is the UK Detailing Academy, and he went up there to do some training for an accreditation for someone who's joining the network. And when he was up there, they were using Garage Therapy products at UKDA, and so one of the processes that UKDA, UK Detailing Academy, do with Garage Therapy tire and glue, which is really interesting, because the hydrocarbons in garage therapy are very, they rinse away really, really well with water. It's an extremely strong tar and glue remover, and weirdly enough, extremely safe. Like, how is solvents extremely strong and extremely safe? This is the embarrassing part of doing garage therapy product content. Basically, is that they make me look stupid because it's like it doesn't make any sense. And I've used some really good tar and glues. But let me get to the really good pro tip here, and I'll talk about it after. When you're doing your decon process and you're removing tar from a vehicle, the process that me and Maz have changed to and really appreciated and worked really, really well with is spraying tar and glue on the tar areas, which are normally going to be around the arches. They're going to be around the lower halves of the panels. So you can spray tar and glue on the panel and get yourself a nice short par microfiber, preferably, Greg, the one you've like a nice short par one, like a nice 0 microfiber, and you basically dunk that in your wash bucket, and you can start to use that to break down the tar, which is what a great process accelerator that is. Using a microfiber, a designated tar microfiber that you're going to throw away at the end, put it in your wash bucket, dunk it in, wipe away the tar, and it's going to clean off the tar and glue and the tar at the same time. And it's such a fast way, because normally what people do would be to dry the car, apply the solvents on the car, let them dwell, wipe them off, blah, 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 blah. But not only is it going to give you the slickness from with the soap to actually not mar the paint, because tar is extremely abrasive, it's also going to remove that tar at the same time. So I've done this numerous times, this process now, with cars that have come in, and it's sped me up no end, I'm telling you. Certain cars you'll probably be aware of have real bad tar spots when new roads have been laid down. All these things have happened. And so a great pro tip there, a short par microfiber, something that's preferably, not fantastic. And obviously, but obviously if you've got a really good new car, then you want to use a new microfiber, because you don't want to be using an old rubbish microfiber on something that could unfortunately induce any marring into the paint. That's a little good tip for you. And so that will hopefully really speed up that wash process as well. Another little tip, Garage Therapy 1 rinseless. If you're using a 2 bucket method, a great little tip for you is to, what rinseless will do because of its formulation is it will kill suds in buckets. So a great little pro tip is to add some rinseless to your rinse bucket. You only need to use about 5 mil. That's going to hopefully, that's going to basically, when you dunk in your rinse bucket to rinse off your applicator or wash media, that should pull out the dirt and give you an extra little bit of kick. So adding Garage Therapy rinseless, about 5 to 10 mil, whatever you want to do, depending on how dirty the car is. Hopefully your pre-wash procedure's absolutely A1, so you won't have any, you'll only be removing traffic film. 5 mil in the rinse bucket. Good dunk. You should see that should give you a little bit of insurance to remove some of that dirt from the microfiber before you go into the wash bucket again to pull out some more dirt. So that, again, is another little pro tip. Another pro tip would be, from you've seen from the live, is Garage Therapy Quick Detailer. You can use that as a... Oh, I love rinses in the rinse bucket. 2 bucket method over here, always. Good, man. We love that. The devil's in the detail. Yep. Great little shout, mate. I like that. I didn't think about it. Maz gave me that little tip, and I thought it was a great idea. Rinses in the rinse bucket. I mean, it sounds like a match made in heaven, doesn't it? It actually does what it says on the tin. Rinseless in the rinse bucket. So we on the last Thor podcast, we did Garage Therapy 2 Quick Detailer. You can also use that as a rinse aid. It's a great little rinse aid. Couple of sprays on the panel. If you want a better duration, you can actually spray that onto a dry car and rinse that off, which is going to help. That's Maz's preferred method of when the car's dry, to spray it on the car and rinse it off when it's dry. Obviously, you can also do that with Sigma. Sigma, I would say, the little pro tip is, if you want to set it up, is to, for me, because Sigma's is another stout product, is when you're using Sigma, what you'll find with Sigma is it's got incredible filling capabilities. The gloss levels are incredible, and the slickness is off the charts. It's a very good hybrid between Kick Detailer and CS. Very good hybrid. But because when you're working this on dirty paint, when I say dirty paint, the car's been cleaned. But if there's contaminated paint, especially when you're working on darker coloured cars, you might start to see some streaking, and that isn't streaking from. When you see streaking from a product, normally streaking occurs on paint when the paint is dirty and contaminated. And a lot of people get frustrated and they do their testing saying, did it streak, did it streak, did it streak? The big argument about when YouTubers do this and the products are streaking, good, proper protection will streak on a dirty paint because it's pulling out the dirt. It's going to lift out the dirt just like a clay bar does. So that's where you're going to get serious issues when it comes to these products. But if you're trying to guard against that, when you've deconned the car, chemical, mechanical, if you was to spray Sigma onto the panel, just one spray on a panel, literally one spray, you could then spray it onto the panel on a wet microfiber, like you have for your tire and glue, not a tire and glue one, but a like tire and glue, like a flat short pile zero microfiber. One spray onto that, or two sprays. Rub that on the paint to just level that down. Rinse that off, dry the car off. That will actually set you up for when you go to apply Sigma, that you've actually got a base coating for the actual real application, the dry application, which will hopefully help you better. Because in the situations that I've seen Sigma streak on cars that I've worked on, and especially specific paints, it's been frustrating. And Rinseless and QD have mopped it up, no problem at all, really quickly. But obviously, my ego wants to be able to do it first time, no problem. This method has helped me against that, because when when the Sigma attaches itself to itself, what you'll find is you're going to get a really, really, really good bond. And so when you're going to apply it dry over a wet application, after you've already applied the wet application, you'll find that your application process is a little bit easier. So again, that's another little pro tip that speeds you up, that if you do find in certain heat conditions, certain climates, that it will streak or look hazy or some sort of stuff, that's a really good go-to thing. Let's go with this question here. Real quick, what GT shampoo is the best for stripping off old waxes? I use waxes more often than not. Devil's in the detail, great shout, mate. Decon shampoo is king. It's the slogan that we use all the time. Decon shampoo will do a lot of work. Now, will it completely strip off waxes? You can use it at 1 to 10 for a pump sprayer, which is going to help. By the time, I think, if you did a pre-wash of Decon shampoo at 1 to 10, it's pump sprayer on the vehicle, by the time you then used it in the snow foam cannon at 65 mils to 450 mils of water, and then you use it in the bucket at 65 mils to wash the car with, I think you're pretty much going to be safe and sure that that car is going to be pretty stripped. But if it isn't, and that product is a lot stouter than you think, then I'd always say, like I said earlier on in the podcast, is machine polishing a vehicle prior to any application of anything is always a good practice, to give your car the best clean surface possible to apply a product of any nature to it, like a wax or anything like that. It's going to really help with the application process, just like I just discussed with Sigma V3. Clean paint doesn't streak. Clean paint gives you a great application. Clean paint gives you a good bond. And so obviously using GT panel wipe as well was a great product to set yourself up, to set it up. I think you'll be absolutely fine. If you're looking for something specific to remove a wax or sealant that's quite that's on there, then like I said earlier on, a video I've seen from the Car Boutique is using Fireball Wax Off. That's a specific type of product that's designed to strip off waxes, and I've seen it work exceptionally well. And people also use that to machine polish with as well. But I think on the safe bet, GT Decon, especially if you're going to be doing a strip wash where you're going to be using iron fallout, you'll be using a water spot remover, you'll be using tar and glue, I think it's going to be hard for any wax to withstand that amount of pressure and power and aggression, if that makes sense. Perfect. I use 1 to 10 in a spray bottle all the time. Yeah. So, devil's in the detail. Tell me this. What is it you're enjoying about the GT product so far? And what question have you got for me that you're maybe a little uncertain about or unsure about when it comes to these products? I'll be really interested to get your feedback on them and what you're enjoying so far about the Garage Forever products. Very interested in that. So while we see if Devil jumps on for that one, or you can even, like I said, give you a little link down in the description. If you want to, anyone wants to jump on and have a little chat before I go, feel free. I'm going to put the link in the description. Always good to see. Always good to get your advice. Ask now or forever hold your peace. You can jump on. Come on as a guest. DMS. What is the best case scenario for using DMS? So DMS is a great product designed for unclogging your ceramic coating. You can use this on a 6 to 8 weekly kind of rotation just to add the process. Great little product. And I also really love using this in the contamination product, in the decontamination process. This is a great product. Smells unbelievable. And as you can see again, in the zero range, DMS, 500 mils, and red. Red is your color for when it comes to acidics. So again, all the color grading is zero DMS is red. Obviously, you can see Car Shampoo V3 is green, which is pH neutral. And obviously, you can see that Decon Shampoo is purple. Will Shampoo is blue. So you can see that they all reflect their pH levels. Very good if you're working in a scenario where Greg wants to ceramic coat a car and he wants to remove any limescale properties. It's going to restore the pH balance of the paint as well when you're using, especially if you're going to be using Decon shampoo in part of the first initial steps of the process and then doing a final wash with DMS. That's a really nice little thing for the paint. The paint will really enjoy having its limescale removed and having its water, mineral wise on the paint removed. The great thing about it is it's very lubricating. Spoke to Ryan from Fine Detailing yesterday about him using DMS. He's foamed it on. He absolutely loves it. And it also contains anti-corrosion additives. So it's just because it's in the same wheelhouse as other products that are out there that do demineralization removal. You have to try them independently to get your feel for them. Like I said, I haven't tried a lot of different shampoos. I know that Labo Cosmetica do a very good one as well. So, you know, there are other great products out there. But me specifically, personally, I use the whole GT system. It's very enjoyable. It's very satisfying to use the system. And so, like a girlfriend, I'm a very loyal dog. And so I like using these. Am I blindsided? Am I biased? Probably a little bit, if I'm honest, because I haven't tried Labo's ones. I haven't tried Yum's ones. I haven't tried Descale by CarPro and those kind of things, which I think as I go down the line, I probably will do. Just to give myself a little bit of feedback, because I think it's since I've been working with other products in my detailing arsenal after using Garage Therapy, there's a little bit of disappointment now when I actually test other products. And so they don't feature on the channel because they don't not that they don't beat what I've got already, but they just don't fit into what I'm using. And if it stays on the shelf, it's a good product. The media for GT is top notch, and I'm starting to sit up and listen. Plus, the community members have nothing but nice things to say. Really, yeah. I mean, the GT discussion group on Facebook isn't a super active place. It's not full of activity of just chatting all the time. But what I will say is that you're going to get a very good, solid answer to any questions that you want, which is awesome. It's a very helpful place, and what I really like and what I really share with Maz and Roger on this is the ability to answer as many questions as fast as possible. So if you've got any questions on it, on the products, they try their best to get back to you as fast as possible, which is, I think, is absolutely amazing, and that really gives you confidence. It gives you I think it builds a bit of tribalism, if I'm honest with you. When a brand supports you and looks after you, and you're not just a number. And that's not to say that this is a criticism of G Technic or Labo or these other guys or other companies out there. But with Garage Therapy is a startup brand, it's a growing brand, it's an inception brand, and they're competing at the G Technic and Labo level. That when you're supporting someone, you're speaking to the guy who packs the bags, makes the chemicals, tests the chemicals, details the cars. You're speaking to the man who does everything, and so all the information you're going to get is always going to be, like you said, top notch, because you're not having to go through loops and holes and chains. Like, how the hell do we know? How do I get to speak to Ronald McDonald about his dodgy Big Macs? And so, when you're investing your hard-earned money into a brand, there is something quite wholesome for me that you know that it's going to the person you're speaking to on the phone, that you're supporting their business, and I think that's incredible. And I do think since COVID, in certain situations in the UK, that we do want to support more local businesses than we do bigger brands and stuff, and so that works really, really well. Thanks for Greg for popping on. I think I might leave it there, guys. I think I might leave it there. Thank you. If anyone wants to ask me a question before I go, feel free while I sign myself out. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot for encouraging me and giving me the confidence in doing these lives. I appreciate it. I should be doing more. I feel like my problem when I'm doing my content on my YouTube channel is, the problem I have with it is that I want everything to be perfect, everything to be watchable, entertainment plus informational. Probably the best word for that is infotainment. I want you to be able to sit down and enjoy watching the process. Hopefully deliver the videos as good to you. I try and be relatable. I try and be consistent. I try and give you access to me to ask questions. I think that's, like I said about the Garage Therapy brand. I try and be myself. I try and be as honest and as real as possible, because I think building the trust with you guys is really important to me. My goal and my purpose, my why for my YouTube channel was because I was getting frustrated in the YouTube world with people creating content and videos to bolster their affiliate programs and sell you something, and I find that very frustrating. I've got businesses that support me that I run and do anyway. I don't need to make money from YouTube to support myself, so I feel like I can be a little bit more transparent, and I think it's important, because I think the relationships I want with my audience and my customers, and how I detail and how I cut hair as a hairdresser for the last 30 years, is built on trust. And so this process of trust is really important to me to work with you. That's not to say that I don't trust other YouTubers. It's just to say that my opinions are based on what I want to do for my audience, and Garage Therapy fits into that. And the other brands that I'm working with now that are supporting me now, I'm working with Garage Therapy, I'm working with Flex, I work with Rimmats, I work with SpongeGuru, I work with Clean and Shiny, I work with Absolute Valetin, I work with Waxing Away. I'm working with Bulhawk Gazebos as well. I've got a fantastic video on that coming out, because I've got all the brands I wanted that I use in my business. And so that's why now with the YouTube channel, I'm obviously doing a lot of product stuff with Garage Therapy, which is great. But really my main goal is giving you guys education, which is going to give you, which is you're the most important tool in your business is you. And when you become more experienced in your goal, in your trade, in your business, the products don't outweigh your knowledge. They just accompany with you. The good analogy I use is Tiger Woods is still Tiger Woods with any golf club in his hands. But if you give him the best golf clubs that are designed for his golf swing and designed for how he swings it, he gets fantastic results. But Tiger Woods could still hit a golf ball really, really well, better than an amateur could. And so for me, the YouTube channel for me is designed, set up for you guys to hopefully get good, honest information. And I do believe there is a lot of misinformation out there, which is why I'm passionate, very, very passionate about being honest and truthful and trying to be transparent with you guys with all the stuff I do, for good, the bad, and the ugly. And so you can get some good information and hopefully align yourself. If you have those same morals as me, and you want to be part of a product range and part of a business that has those same things, then keep watching, keep following, keep supporting us, keep subscribing. And so on that note, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate all the support you've given me. Feel free to check out all my back catalogue on some of the videos I've done. There's a lot of how-to videos in there on my YouTube channel. I need to tidy it up a bit more into playlists so you guys can watch a lot more. If there's any requests you have for videos, for questions, feel free to leave them anywhere on any video you want about any topic you like, and I will if it's a good question, I will either answer it as a response on my YouTube channel, or I will endeavour to make a great short video or a video on that question if it really has some depth and meaning to it that I think that could help other people as well. So anything you've got, let's make this a community-based channel, not my channel, but your channel, to help you guys get better at detailing. And hopefully Gary's therapy is just a small part of the process of you becoming a better detailer, and hopefully being part of a framework, a system, a company that really strives on help that our detailers and understands what detailers need to create products off the back of those problems that they need to be solved in the detail industry. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate you guys, and always sharing your hard-earned time and your hard-earned money on hopefully great products. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.